everyone. So I am getting approval from the powers that be, Miss Harshwinnie, and everything, to go ahead and get this panel started. Welcome to the DHX Designers Panel. I'm Chris, also known as Couch Crusader from Equestria Daily. You may have heard of me, but that's not why I'm here, or any of us are here, really. We're here to see these lovely ladies right over here. So why don't you three go ahead and introduce yourselves, starting with Kora right there.
I'm Kora.
I got it right this time.
I work as the character designer on season 5. Okay, and I'm art directing season 6.
You heard it first here, ladies and gentlemen.
My name is Rebecca Dart. I worked as a character designer on previous seasons. I art directed season 5, and I am currently art directing the feature film.
My name is Fernanda. I'm the colourists for season 5 and 6.
All right, everyone, so I didn't really plan for this panel, so instead what I have here is a stack of index cards and a bunch of pens in my shirt pocket. If you have any questions you would like to ask these three ladies, go ahead and fill out an index card. If I could actually get a runner to help me out, that'd be pretty cool too. You volunteer, come on up. Yep. We're just gonna pass out these index cards, these pens and all that. Sorry that they're in limited supply and everything, and then I will get the questions back, and hopefully we can make this thing run smoothly, right? Say what? Something like that. Yeah, sure, let's do this. In the meantime, you three can like voila or something.
Okay. So should I just go? Okay, cool. Anyway, thanks for coming out to come and see us. There's actually a lot more people here than I thought there were gonna be. First of all, you're probably asking yourself, what does the design... Oh, should they be showing? Okay. You're probably asking yourself, what does the design department do?
Where does the images show up?
Do you have images on the laptop?
We do. We have images on the laptop.
Gentleman back there, can you... We are the epitome of professionalism here.
Oh, there you go.
Excellent. Woo! Here we go. We got visual aids now. Well, what happens, the basic process is we get a script, we go through the script, we figure out how many new characters there are, how many new locations there are, and how many new props there are. And so this is an example. I made this completely for this talk, so this actually doesn't show up in any episode. But we'll get a script line. Rarity puts on a fabulous new sun hat. It's like, okay, as a designer, you have to figure out what does that look like. So as you can see here, Rarity has a kind of fabulous new sun hat. It's okay, it's maybe a little subdued. And the art director, which is the head of the design department, everything that a designer does goes through the art director. And we have a crew of about 9 people. There's one character designer, one location designer, one prop designer, and then there's one character colorist, which is Fernanda here. The person who designs the character actually doesn't color the character either. So, and then there's a bunch of cleanup artists and other artists. And we have 1 week to design an entire episode. So it's a very tight schedule. On average, there's usually about 20 new character designs, roughly. And redresses, which is basically means characters that have new clothes. And also probably about 12 locations per episode. So the character designer puts a new hat on Rarity, and the art director looks it over and says, you know what, this could be more fabulous. So the art director would make notes, either like just written notes saying, hey, change this, or actually draw overs. And that goes back to the character designer. And then there you go, much more fabulous. And then that goes through, and it's all just done in black and white art. And that goes through an entire approval process. It has to be approved by the art director. It has to be approved by series directors. There's 2 of them. And then it also has to go to Hasbro for approval. So, and then once that all gets approved, then it goes to Fernanda here, who cleans it up in Flash and colors it and gives it color lines. And that has to go through the approval process all over again. It has to be art director approved, and then once again Hasbro approved. So it's a kind of a long process, and there's many artists that work simultaneously, so we can get work out quickly. So anyway, I think what we were planning on doing was kind of focusing on a single episode to kind of walk you through the design process, and I was thinking 508, which was the lost treasure of Griffinstone, would be a good one to talk about, because there was a lot of new characters in that one, a lot of new locations. So, after design is done, and so after a design is done, such as Rarity's hat, it has to go to a rotation artist who has to draw has 5 different angles to draw that one hat. So one hat design ends up being a lot of work. So, griffins. Kora here designed all the griffins for 508, and Fernanda colored them all.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to talk about how the process for that was?
So first thing I do when I get a new character assigned to me is I go to Google Images. And I look up my reference. So what I wanted to do is kind of see how I could fit different kinds of birds into the griffin designs. I looked up a lot of predator birds and some non-predator birds that didn't make the cut. There was a toucan. He was awesome. But we wanted to kind of stick to all the griffins kind of having that hawk-like beak, so the toucan did not make the cut. So I just open up Google Images, I grab all the reference that I can, and I just start sketching them out, seeing what works, what doesn't, how many different variations of like the hair, the chest puff, and like the costuming can you do. I think I had 40 rough little sketches, and then the ones that I thought looked better, I took them in, I cleaned them up, and then I made another cut of which ones do I really want to push forward, because we only needed 10, 15. We needed old griffins, kind of adult griffins, and then little baby ones. So overall it was 5 each, and so then I just narrowed it down even more and passed them on to Rebecca to approve.
I believe there's a bunch that actually you did that didn't even make it into the show.
Yeah, the toucan.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's have it out.
Yeah, let's have a cage match right now. Anyway, so yeah, you covered them. So
Yeah, exactly. The color process is pretty much taking the designs and trying to make them even going further with that. We just work with trying to make the character's personality come across the colors too. So it's pretty much trying to have also thinking of what they're gonna be. So the background is really important to think their colors, and also thinking if they're interacting with which character. So then it makes sense. They're matching kind of thing. But basically, it's just following their personalities and making sure that they look
yeah,
good.
And you gave Greta sort of a green.
Yeah.
Was that to sort of counteract with Gilda?
Yeah, exactly. To make sure that she's not purple again. So then we have a different.
They all have a harmonious color palette too, the browns, the whites, the cool colors. If it's going to be a non-warm color, it's
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they have, and designing the griffins is sort of there's sort of a new culture there too. So I noticed in a lot of their sort of jewelry and the clothes that they're wearing, you kind of created almost a design language for this new culture.
I kind of wanted to, I looked at a lot of Mongolian like collars and Chinese hats, and I wanted to show that they're kind of like a mountain town, but not like a European mountain town, because we kind of have that going on in other episodes with other characters. So I looked at like fezzes and like the design of jewelry, brooches, and I wanted to show that this is like kind of their own separate little culture within the fashion that they're wearing too.
And they're almost like all of them kind of dark and heavy, like colors.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
make sure,
you
like,
didn't
we-
make them crazy pony colors.
Exactly, yeah, like super happy colors and bright and everything. They're serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's probably there was just 15 griffins that were designed for this episode.
Yeah.
So each one of those griffins had to have a full turnaround. So it's about 5 drawings per griffin. So that's a lot of drawings.
And then you have to go in and do a mouth chart. So each frame of I, U, E, O, Th, P, N,
Yeah.
for each griffin, for each 5 rotation, like angles.
Yeah.
So it's a ton of drawing, it's a ton of planning.
Yeah. We also do happy and sad mouth charts
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
So Matt Herring is the guy who on the crew that did all the rotations and mouth charts, and he was amazing.
Yeah, you have to have very, very nice drawings to be
Yeah.
able to do that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just not like, it happens instantly. Every mouth movement a character has to be drawn and thought out, and everything is controlled all the way through. So,
And also, if we have some extreme expressions too, we also have to design those.
Yep.
yeah, that's true as well.
So sometimes the board artists, when they get our designs, they start planning out what the episode is going to look like with using our characters as a guideline. And they'll come up with like a funny, awesome angle or expression. So we'll get it back later on in design, and we'll have to like reference the boards, which are usually off model. So they're not exactly what our ponies look like, and we'll take it in and then revise that expression to fit the model. So there's like a second stage of design that happens after the boards. So
Yeah, we call them board pools.
Yeah. And usually the Discord episodes have a lot of board pulls.
yeah, because it's like a lot of zany visual jokes that we just leave to the board artists to do, because they have an excellent sense of humor. But then we get it back and we're like, oh god.
It's also like every time a character changes their clothes, like the Grand Galloping Gala episodes.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of dresses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of made the crazy mistake of giving them only hairdos, which drove them nuts. But
We were like, we
sorry,
don't care
guys.
about you and your beauty.
Anything else you guys want to add about the Griffins?
No. We did try to keep, because like they're incidentals. If it's like a brand new character who's got like a lot of lines, then we can kind of change up their body type. Same with like incidental ponies, or like brand new ponies. But if they're incidentals, if they're just in the background, then we tend to reuse shapes, legs, wings that have already been used before, because they have full cycles for like flapping or walking or like mouth charts. So that cuts down on the design we have to do for incidentals. But if it's a brand new character that's going to be like a lot of attention paid, then we'll put in the effort to do new beaks, new wings, everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Like someone like the Griffins in the background here and the first image at the top, probably have the exact same body. Whereas Greta is a little bit different because she was a more main character one. And I was going to talk a little bit about Aramaspi. I'm the one that ended up designing Aramaspi because I knew I was the one that was going to be doing the illustration sequence. So, because they weren't willing to pay extra for it, but I did anyway. And for him, his sole description in the script was a cyclops. And everybody kind of generally knows a cyclops as being very human with a single eye. And it's like, well, we can't draw humans in the world of ponies, so how are we going to work our way around this? I knew he had to have hands or some sort of hand-like appendages because he had to grab things. He had to grab the Idol of Boreas. And so I was kind of thinking kind of mountain goat, mountain gorilla combo, because they were living high in the mountains. So that's sort of where his inspiration came from. And I also knew that he had to have a lot, he was really hungry for gold. So he had to have a lot of ornamentation on him. So a lot of gold bands on his horns and like gold bracelets. And I gave him these braids so he could have gold sort of ties for his braids. And when I colored the illustration, I wanted the gold to really stand out. And so I colored it pretty much a monochromatic, sort of blue-gray, and colored his gold parts. And I wanted very specifically for him to have a gold eye, because he had his eye for gold. So that is Arimaspe.
Yeah, there's sometimes a challenge when we're given like mythological characters that often have human traits that we have to kind of design around because there are no humans in
like
the world of ponies. Like I think in the same episode, it's the Yeti.
That's in 511 Yak episode.
Yeah. That hasn't aired yet, or has it? Yeah, it has aired? Okay. So it was sort of the same thing. It was like a Yeti is kind of like a Bigfoot-style creature, and I was like, well, how do I get around this? And I decided to, like Rebecca with the gorilla and goat, I just did a baboon and mixed with a snow hare. So he's like the white, and he's up on his legs, but he's still got the little butt from the baboon. So it's kind of like you have to think about re-envisioning like mythological characters that already exist, and that's kind of the fun challenge with those characters.
Mm-hmm. And in this Arimaspe sequence, Kora actually did the designs for the griffins, and I just used your designs for King Guto.
You're welcome.
This is moving on a lot faster than I thought. I'll talk a little bit about background design. Phil Caesar is a wonderful background designer. Oh, yay! Some love for background design. Don't get a whole lot of that. Yeah. And so also with like Griffinstone, it's like a whole new location, it's a whole new culture. It was supposed to be a kingdom that has been in downtimes, so it's all been sort of ramshackled and sort of partially destroyed. And once again, we only have a week to do an entire episode. And in episodes like this, which go to a whole new location, you have usually like a lot of stuff to do. And sometimes there's stuff that you're like, oh, I really wish I could just have really thought that out a bit better, but you just don't have time with a TV schedule. So, but anyway, this is the Griff to Griffinstone, and we made it like for like wings, so it's sort of like a place where bird-like creatures are going to be, and we designed the trees to look like bristlecone pines, which are one of the oldest living organisms on the planet. And like I mentioned here, it's usually a very similar process to doing character design. There's black and white line art. That goes to a cleanup artist that traces it in Flash and gets it ready for the colorist. And then the colorist comes in and paints it. And this is all done in Flash. Those are all vector textures and transparent brush strokes. So each background takes 3 people about 2.5 days of work. So people working simultaneously so we can maintain our schedule. And you've colored some backgrounds, Fernanda.
Yeah, I did. Sometimes I get to do that too, and it's so much fun.
How do you find it different from coloring characters?
It's completely different because like on characters you're just thinking of like that specific view for like, because I color just the 3/4 first, and then once we approve the 3/4, then we go to do the full rotation. So for characters we are thinking just about that view, and that it's kind of flat. You don't have to think a lot of like layer, like front view, back view. Like you're not thinking too much of like forward, like foreground, midground. You're thinking just that character, and then background you have to think a lot of like where the focal point will be, where the characters will be in the scene. So you make sure that that point is more like the audience will be able to see it and go and have their eyes going to the right direction, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have to put details or where, like in some places, and not too much details on the rest where you don't want people to see too much. So yeah, it's a lot of more things to worry, but it's fun. I like both.
It's always a challenge when you have so many main characters that are all different colors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that everybody show
Their
well.
red
Yeah,
pops.
yeah, yeah. But it's okay. It's good.
Do you ever find like when you're coloring characters that you're like running out of color
Yeah.
combinations?
Sometimes I'm like, oh man, I already did green and pink. I already did.
I know.
Yeah, just make sure that I have like I talk to them and make sure that I'm not going too repetitive. And if I'm not good, like sometimes I feel that my day, kind of like the way I'm feeling that in the day, like influences a lot how I'm coloring the character. So sometimes
Yeah.
if I'm happy, I'm doing like all the happy colors, and then if I'm sad, I'm like, oh, they're all pastel today. Then, yeah, no, but
Okay, now I'm gonna know your mood when I see your
sure.
characters.
Well, I remember like in Tanks for the Memories, there was a hockey player pony that had very similar colors to Scootaloo. And everybody was saying, that's Scootaloo's brother. And it's like, no, it's just similar colors because we just don't have that many color combos we can
it's just
do.
like 5 seasons.
yeah.
And like too many peonies and too many colors. I probably
Yeah.
will repeat sometime. But yeah. I try not to.
I was just going to talk a little bit. We unfortunately, our prop designer couldn't make it for this talk, but she's the person that would design. A prop is basically any object that a character interacts with or picks up.
Any.
Yeah. So like, if a character picks up a pebble, we have to design that pebble separately, or a toothbrush, or a bowl of soup, or something like that. But some of the times they're a little bit more complicated, such as DJ Pony's DJ booth from episode 100. This was done by Charmaine Verhagen, and I don't think we designed the shark.
Oh, that's somewhere actually.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Yeah. Halloween episode.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Steph knows everything.
Steph knows. Steph is a layout
Steph
artist.
is always-
Such as DJ Pony's DJ booth, we had to design a front 3/4, a back 3/4, and this design, which we show the underneath. And I think she did a great job. I think it looks fantastic.
And she had to design multiple views, which is like, it can get pretty technical, especially with this one, right? Because you have to think about all the different ways it's going to show up. So this is like all hand-drawn, like front, like maybe tilted this way, turned around. Like, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of planning.
Yeah. I think she designed a front 3/4 and a back 3/4, but like this view was done as a board pull because in the board they drew it, so we saw the underneath of it in that angle. So
I think she actually did a tilted one.
did she?
I think tilted down. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, and I believe the couch that shows up on this, she actually designed to look like the Simpsons couch. But I think that got picked up the second it aired. And that's all I have for images. It's back to square one. I think we can probably go to questions now. Anybody got any questions?
I think that we have a couple.
Okay. Couple hundred?
Make it rain.
Oh man. So I believe a few of us in here know Rebecca in the past for having designed Queen Chrysalis
Yeah.
for the season 2 finale.
I saw the huge one in the back there.
He's been carrying that thing around all weekend.
It's
Anyway,
pretty amazing.
since she is like she's mildly popular in the fandom and all that, I was wondering if you had a couple of things to say about the process about designing Queen Chrysalis.
Yeah,
For the
sure. She was described in the script as a black, and they used the word.
She?
What's she?
Who is she?
Oh, Queen Chrysalis was described in the script.
Oh, okay.
And she was actually described as a pegacorn. That was the word that was used at the time. As a gangly black pegacorn with a gnarled horn. And that was pretty much it. And but she sort of was very insect-like. Like she had all her changelings, and she had sort of like this insect army. So I figured, oh, she should be probably somewhat insect-like. So I gave her a carapace And and her mane is supposed to look like it's been eaten by moths. It's moth eaten, and I wanted to make her look like she crawled out from under a log. So, and I started drawing her and gave her a horn, and her crown was supposed to sort of look like antenna. And I started drawing circles on her legs to kind of make them look rotten, and I had a thought. I was like, what if these circles were holes? How would that work? And I asked the art director at the time, Rid Sorensen, I was like, what if it was like this? This would be cool. And he was like, yeah, do it. So I did it. And that's why, oh, okay, thanks. And then, yeah, so that's how she got the holes in her legs. So, happy accidents.
I get the feeling there are a couple of those in the development process.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happens a lot. Like sometimes I color the character how it was not supposed to be like a hoe, for example. And then I understood that it was, and then it happens to be like a mistake, but then it ended up being like a good thing and we keep it. Sometimes it
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
What's the favorite mistake that you've been able to get into the show? Or you can always pass on this question and move on to another one.
Favorite mistake?
We don't make mistakes. Yeah.
True.
I can't think of one off the
Yeah,
top of
I
my
can't
head.
think
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification, when you said that you were working on the feature film, do you mean Friendship Games or the one coming out in 2017?
The 2017.
There you have it, folks. So here's a biographical question for everyone. How did you end up getting into the field of design for animation?
Somebody saw my blog and they called me. I actually went to the Emily Carr Institute of Art and Design here in Vancouver. I guess they're the Emily Carr University of Art and Design now. I did the animation degree. I did not learn how to animate, but I did do a focus in design. And I wound up working at Disney and then coming here to DHX, just both because somebody saw my work online and they called me. So.
Yeah, that's how you get noticed nowadays. That's how I find a lot of artists.
Yep.
And I've been working in animation for about 18 years. I don't have any formal education in art or animation. I had a friend who was working at this kind of like really small studio that was sort of desperate for artists. And so I just did a test. A lot of times when you start out in animation, they require you to do a test to make sure you can do what you say you can do. And then I did that and I got in and I started out, doing a very entry-level job and then sort of got noticed that I could draw, and then I actually did location design for about 15 years. And then actually no, it wasn't My Little Pony, but My Little Pony was actually my first full-time character design job, which was on season 2.
I'm originally from Brazil, as you can see by my accent. I'm not from Canada. I studied graphic design back there, and then I moved to Vancouver in 2011 to study at VFS, Vancouver Film School. And then after finishing school, I already started working at DHX, but before I was a layout artist on My Little Pony. Steph was my super little eye. Yeah, but I always wanted to be in design and doing colors. That's what I wanted. And then I kept asking the people there if I could move to design. And then there was this time that okay, Fernanda, go. And then, so then I started being a color artist, and then I'm pretty happy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to clarify, we actually did work on Equestria Girls as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I art directed and Kora did many designs for it.
So many high heels, you guys.
We kind of worked together, like season 5 and Equestria Girls.
Happened at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a question for all of you as well. How did you decide to stop when doing editing, characters, designs, and redressing? In other words, when is something too much and you just need to send it forward?
Something done.
I tend to between all the stages of the thumbnail, the rough, and then the final cleanup, I tend to take a little break kind of step away from what I'm doing, whether it's like physically walk away from the computer, get a cup of water or whatever, or I just go on Reddit. I give myself a little break, I come back, I flip the character, like mirror image it, and then if anything stands out as being like, oh, that looks really wonky, then I'm like, well, I have to revise. Or sometimes I'll come back and be like, oh, this looks good, all right, move it forward. That's usually when I know. It's like if I feel like I won't die from embarrassment if I send this to Rebecca. It's ready. It's ready.
Yeah, that's actually a really good tip, actually, is to take your drawing and flip it around like that, especially if you're doing location designs, because I find if I do location design, everything I do tends to lean to one side.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
So if you flip it, and it just becomes so obvious.
Yeah, if you're drawing like in a sketchbook, just go up to a mirror and hold it up, and you'll be like, oh, wow, that's really wrong, and then you can go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
For colors, I don't think we have something that like stopped me. I do a couple versions sometimes, like if I'm not sure what I want for the character, and then I show them to see if which one should I go for, and then it's pretty much straightforward. Like there's not like a lot of like I have to do like a 30, like it's not like character design, right? Like it's less like there's less options for where I can go. So I try to do, when I'm not sure, I try to do 3 options or something, and then I show them, talk to them, get feedback. That's also very important to be open for feedback, because you learn so much.
Yes.
So yeah, like if you're learning or doing anything, just try to get as much feedback as you can. So then you have people that you trust and that you know are better than you. Or it's just like so much, you can learn so much from that. So
Yeah,
just be open.
Yeah, it's very much a group effort.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that.
When I'm designing a character that's like not like a regular pony, usually it'll just be like Rebecca will be working at her desk and I'll just come on, hey Rebecca, can you come over and have a look at this? And I'm like, what? She slaps me on the face.
Back to your desk.
I go home and I cry.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Never.
Yeah, but it's like the design crew is pretty small, and we actually get pretty close.
Yeah, we sit very close, and we are always like communicating, and that's very important to make sure that everything is going the right direction.
Yeah, we're all friends.
Yeah.
Friendship is magic. I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. We should make a show
How
about
much
that.
are they paying you to say all of that? It's like you try to do a seamless segue and it's all the way in the back of your pile. So, since Fernanda brought up the point about consulting your coworkers for like design tips and all of that, are there any times when you would disagree artistically with some of the feedback you've gotten from your peers, and how often has that stuck with your design, or how often has that been left out?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get, like not just in Pony, but like in freelance and when you're working professionally, your client will say something like, oh, this is great, but can you make her skinnier and give her high heels, right? That's when I get a lot, and I hate that. Like, no, but this is not my product. This is not my show, and I'm here to deliver what the art director or the client wants. So if they want it, then I'll do it, because I trust that they're there for a reason, that their opinion matters, and that, my job is just to deliver what the client wants. And if they don't like my idea, oh well, save the idea for something else that I'm working on that, I can push forward. But it's like you have to leave your ego at the door when you become a designer, professionally, commercially, because sometimes you're just achieving somebody else's vision and not your own.
Yeah, and a lot of times also, we would design something and the directors will be like, this doesn't work for the story. So we would get revisions fairly often for that, or they have a specific idea of how that character is going to be in the story. So something like that is a common revision. Or sometimes you'll put in something, you're like, this is so funny. And they're like, it's funny, but it's kind of gross at the same time. So,
Or sometimes it's too
like,
complex for animation
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
think about that too.
Yeah, that is totally true too.
Yeah.
We have to try to.
Because sometimes like I want to add patterns on everything, and I want them having like all the little things all around them, but it just can't be because like we do care about the animator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and- yeah. That's especially true on Equestria Girls, because a lot of times we will get designs from brand that we have to translate into animation.
Oh yeah.
So we have to simplify the costumes
A lot.
and make it a lot.
Yeah, because
And-
they have colors all over and patterns all over.
Yeah, ponies are pretty simple generally.
I mean, sometimes you're just really lucky with your art director, and when they make a revision note, you're like, oh, that's such a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? And Rebecca is definitely one of those.
And so are you.
Kora too. I worked with both of them. It's
I was
just
just
amazing.
Tell me more compliments, please.
Kora, you were so good.
Stop.
Just stop.
Since I'd asked Rebecca earlier about her experiences designing Queen Chrysalis, you can chime in again on this question too. We do want to know what your favorite prop or asset you created for the show was and what it was like working on that.
Well, my favorite was probably the three from, actually like the 601. I loved working on that. I love Starlight Glimmer, the whole character. I loved
Yeah,
her.
that's my favorite. Too.
Yeah, and I loved it because like I was Googling Stepford wives when I was designing her because she is just, like really in control.
Were you responsible for those really creepy smiles like at the beginning of the episode?
That was boarded in, so we eventually got the boards and we interpreted the drawings on the boards too. But yeah, that wound up being design in the end. The Sugar Bell, the Night Glider, Double Diamond, I really like working on those too. Those were really fun.
Yeah, Starlight was really nice because we had to think her being like an important character and also thinking as like she would interact a lot with Twilight, and we wanted to make sure they would be matching and having like a kind of a nice flow between them.
Yeah, like the sort of Sugar Bell and Night Glider and Party Favor were all designed together, and you had to make
Yeah.
sure they were harmonious.
Yeah, like a lot of times I put all the characters, they come in separating the files, right? But then I put them together on screen so I can see them working together and like.
Yeah, and they looked great. I thought they looked great.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Yeah, what character asset? I like Harry the Bear. He was the very first thing I ever designed for My Little Pony.
Since Fernanda was talking about, I don't think that there's a really good fandom name for the 4 ponies who showed up in the premiere, but since you like put them together and you kind of work together with their colors, how much leeway do you have when it comes to incorporating colors into designs, or is that something that's more mandated top down?
What do you mean, like liberty? To
Yeah, you just.
How do you pick the colors for your pretty pictures?
Yeah, I have a lot of freedom. Like it pretty much comes to me black and white, and I have the choice, the time to choose whatever I want. But then I put it down and I show to them to make sure it's all working. But yeah, pretty much all it comes to me black and white. And sometimes in the script they say specifically if they want a specific color. So then I follow the script, but normally we just talk and make sure. We just talk and decide whatever we want.
You've never had to worry about writers sending you, this pony is chartreuse and she's meant to be like eye burning on the screen, and you're like, no.
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 Well, are there any creatures or kinds of environments that you would like to see introduced or see more of?
Sea ponies.
Go on.
I would love to see Kieran's.
That's a good one too, yeah.
Yeah, sea ponies would be awesome.
I hear the writers are actually pitching that like every summit meeting, so they're trying for you guys. Can you explain what a Karen is?
It's sort of, I believe it's Japanese. It's like a Japanese unicorn, kind of dragon, Japanese. It's kind of like has a horn, but it has scales. It's fun.
So, probably know about Derpy Hose. What actually happened with her eyes
It
there? Was anyone around for that?
was an animation mistake, I believe. Yeah.
There have been other theories out there saying that someone at DHX had put that in deliberately.
No, I think it was just, she was just a background pony and somebody just forgot to track her eye properly.
I guess you could call that a happy accident.
Oh, there you go. That's our favorite mistake.
Yeah, there you go.
So since you guys do work on the show so much, and it's pervaded so many different aspects of our culture, you have like family and friends and other people you know, do you ever get sick of all the exposure?
I think as the designers, there isn't that much exposure. A lot of focus is on the writers, the directors, the voice artists. So it is really kind of nice when people pay attention to what like us and the layout and the storyboard artists do. So no, not getting sick of that.
We're kind of shy too.
Yeah.
I think something that's been awesome about coming up here is that like I got to meet the storyboarders and like the designers and all that kind of thing that you don't normally get to see coming out to conventions. As designers, what are some things you would like the fans to know about what you do for the show? It's okay to have an ego.
We put a lot of care on everything that we do, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that you see, you know, we've had to think about and discuss and plan as a team, and it's all done in mind to give you just like the best visual experience that we can. And we're always trying to like push the boundaries to make it look better. And I mean, like you can compare the backgrounds from season 1 to season 5, right? Like we're working hard to make sure this looks really good and that you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get a tweet saying, oh, I really love the expression on that character. And I'll say, well, that wasn't design, that was like storyboards and posing that did that. And the thing about working, especially in television animation, it's very segmented. Like all the jobs are pretty segmented. So like for instance, the person who draws a character doesn't color it, and it's things like that. So just a basic understanding of process actually would be something I think the fans would be cool to know.
We get asked a lot how much influence we have over the writers. The answer is none. We don't influence the writers. Everything that happens has its own like set of people working on it, and we try to work together, but it's not like we go to the writers and say like, hey, you know, you should do this, or like the layout artist comes to me and is like, you should design it this way. It doesn't work that way. We work together, but there's not a lot of like butting in, I guess.
Yeah, I think there was one time I can think of in 504, that's the Apple Bloom episode, right? And I think Charmaine had to design a bunch of cutie marks, and she designed Apple Bloom's face as her cutie mark. and the director, I believe Jim was the director, or no, it was Jason was directing that episode, and he loved that. And so they put it in the board and made it blink. And so that was like one time I can think of where design actually kind of influenced the final product.
Have there been anything you've been able to sneak into the series?
We get asked this a lot. And we can't answer it. You guys find everything anyway.
Yeah, you guys are pretty good at picking up the little things. So. Not that we sneak stuff in, maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
No.
We still have like 25 minutes to go. I did not plan this out at all.
Oh. Any other questions?
Well, I mean, did you ever have to rush something into the show that you weren't really a big fan of?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that happens, you know, because you have such a tight deadline, right? That
Yeah.
you would like to go back and, like, I would like to go back and rework a certain rotation because I look at it and I'm like, oh, no, I did that wrong. But, you know, you sometimes don't have the time.
Yeah. I think actually Coco Pomel's rotation is something I wanted to fix. I never got a chance to.
Yeah, the nightmare. Did the nightmare? Yeah, I did. The nightmare angel bunny. I wanted to fix some things on the rotation.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, damn, I didn't step away from my computer because I had such a tight deadline for that one that I just like went ahead and did it, and I didn't give myself time to look back on it. And when I finally did, I was like, oh no,
Yeah.
damn it.
That episode was really fun, like lots of new designs and like fun colors to work with because we had to go for the dark side of this. Yeah, it was
I like the
really fun.
Tantibus.
I was gonna say,
That
the
was
Tantibus is
great,
one of my
yeah.
favorite designs that
Yeah,
you
that
did
turned
for
out
that
really
episode.
cool. But that was like, it was like, oh, it was okay in the design stage. Like, oh, look nice, sparkly. It was the animators that made it look like crazy cool because it gave it that like really smooth, like, walk sequence.
Yeah, but there's a lot of nightmare creatures in that too.
That was like really fun.
The nightmare cakes,
The dread.
and the nightmare houses.
Yeah, the houses were really nice to cover.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
flowers.
yeah. Yeah, Charmaine did
I
the
think
flowers.
Charmaine designed
Yeah.
the flowers, playing the flute.
And it's funny because Charmaine is much more of the dark side, right? Like she
Yeah.
would, like for her, that was a nightmare.
It's true. She's more like Rainbow Dash, I guess.
She's like,
Oh, there you go.
So after talking with everyone else yesterday, I've heard that the backgrounds in the show lately have become so elaborate they've started crashing the computers. Steph Mahoney is nodding in the audience.
They've become difficult.
She's not? Okay,
to
good. We can
work
talk
with.
about it then. Oh, okay.
yeah,
I think. I think it was also had to do with the BG builds too, weren't? From what I, it's not my department, but the BG builds were done in the Philippines, and they would do things that made the files larger, something like that, from my understanding.
Mom keeps texting me, so that's why my phone keeps going off. This is a good one. Did any of you three happen to work on the Power Ponies episode in season 4?
Yeah, I designed the Power
All right.
Ponies.
Where did you get the inspiration for all the different backgrounds and costumes, things like that?
Well, I'm a comic book nerd. So it was a lot of fun, and the Maniac as well. And yeah, it was just like, just looking at a lot of superhero costumes and trying to design them to match the personalities and their superpowers. And there was,
I think she has a question over here.
Where did you just come up with? Yeah, I love her concept and her story and her character. In
cool.
general, she's amazing.
Well, it was written in the script, I believe. Yeah, she was written in the script as having wild, crazy hair. I believe there was like a comic book sequence in that, and I got to draw that sequence as well. And I saw that blown up at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was like, I didn't know it was going to be blown up that big when I drew it, which is always kind of a shock. But yeah, she was just, I just wanted her to look maniacal. So, but that's the type of thing, like, when you read the description and what she does in the script, and then you kind of like push it to the extremes. So we have a saying in design and in animation that something reads. So you know exactly what that character is about as soon as you see it. Like, you know that character is going to be evil, you know that character is going to be good, and so someone like a villain, you have to know that character is going to be evil as soon as, and for her, she also had to look kind of crazy, so.
Something else just kind of occurred to me is that, well, when you saw the Power Ponies designs being blown up at San Diego Comic-Con, you didn't realize it would be that big. Are there any differences when it comes to designing elements for the TV show versus designing for the movies?
I can't talk about the movie much.
Not about Equestria Girls, though?
Equestria Girls I can talk about. TV versus like the DVDs?
Versus like the big screen.
Oh, the big screen, yeah. Well, on Equestria Girls, I remember watching Rainbow Rocks, and because they're blown up so big detail gets sort of eaten up. And so I think for friendship games, we concentrated on adding actually more detail to the characters. So.
Yeah.
Like including the already existing models for the main 6, or just all the new characters who are coming into that?
New outfits, yeah. New outfits for all the new. I think it's been kind of announced what friendship games is about, right? It's like a rival school, and okay, good. So
You're always so open.
and have to keep up on these things. So look for, you know, a lot of incidental background characters in the new school. That Kora designed.
Yes.
Yeah, that was that friendship games was a beast.
Yeah.
There were, I think, over 100 new character assets.
Outfit changes,
changes.
like hairstyle changes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
there was a lot in that. So there's a lot of new art in friendship games.
Are there any assets you've designed over your tenure at DHX that have kind of been left on the cutting room floor you wish hadn't?
Toucan.
That wasn't my call.
Rebecca. Yeah, sometimes, you know, you have an idea, you move it forward, and, you know, either directors or Hasbro will say, like, no, we can't really put this in. I think, oh, that's too bad, and nobody will ever see this ever. This is not a happy story, but this happens, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the Art of Equestria book coming out. I'm kind of curious to see what they put in there. There might be some stuff that didn't make it.
Speaking of that book, I mean, like, are they going to be putting designs that you've like created yourself in there, or like the assets them directly? I can words today.
I think they're going to be putting some sketches in, which is stuff that you guys don't get to see very much, because they're sometimes not like 100% on model. They're not like the stock like 3/4 pose. You know, we have a little more leeway to do what we want when we do just the roughs. So some of those will probably be in there, I think.
I hope so. I don't even actually know what's going to be in there, but yeah, it's going to be kind of nice though, because I think it's a long time coming. That, you know, we produce a lot of art. I mean, season 5 is half over, and so there's a lot of art that's been created for the show.
Someone in the audience wants you to explain what the deal was with the people wearing the horse heads in Slice of Life.
Oh, of the photo.
The photo.
Oh yeah, that was we had nothing to do with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was the directors, Jim, Jason, I think Katrina
was in there.
Tim Packford, who's storyboard supervisor. I think Denny was in there, and they did 2 versions. The first one was Denny, and he has a zombie horse mask. And Hasbro said that's too gross for a kid's cartoon, so they had to retake it without him. So he was a little bummed about that. So.
Who made Princess Big Mac?
Oh, I thought it was me. Oh man, when I saw the like animatic, which is like the rough cut of the animation without like the sound effects, and I saw that they did a Sailor Moon transformation sequence. God, Sailor Moon is like my favorite thing. And it's like the best thing that has happened to me on the show. It's like watching Big Mac transform like Sailor Moon style. Awesome.
Since all of you have designed so many things for the show, like over the years and seasons, how do you keep coming up with new designs or keeping them kind of distinct from one another?
Google Images.
Yeah. I don't know, sometimes you get in a rut and you wind up like kind of rehashing stuff over and over again, and it just takes for somebody to be like, oh, you're doing the same hair a lot, for you to be like, oh, you're right, I am, time to Google image. But it's mostly just like looking for new shapes, looking for new inspiration.
especially something like the pony's hair,
Yeah.
because there's been so many ponies designed. There's only so much you can do with the hair.
And
but,
even the costumes too, sometimes you're like, well, how many more ball gowns can I design?
yeah. But it's also sort of like we all come to this with our own style. And a part of one's style is actually repetitive shapes and repetitive things, that it's just the way you do things. So you can usually tell like who did designs by there's little things that, yeah. So I mean, it's like we can't really shut ourselves off as artists completely. There's always little influences of our stuff. And,
Yeah, well, Charmaine has been working on some characters for season 6, and she has more sharp lines, and she's got a distinct style for hair, right? You can kind of tell when Charmaine does the hair versus when I do, because I like really loopy, curly, and she looks very sharp and straight, so it's kind of...
yeah. So the
you
fact
can
that,
tell.
you know, character designers sort of like come and go, that it kind of helps keep things fresh.
We certainly have our share of aspiring designers here in the audience, and they would like to know any advice you would possibly have for those who are looking to get into the industry and where you are today.
I would say probably
Draw a lot.
draw a lot, but like really, when you work in animation, you don't often have the opportunity to design things in your personal style. So one thing I always try to do is study other styles and try to do as much as possible in other types of, like, not just like one graphic style. I try and do a lot and study a lot so that I can just be like, look, I can do this in your style, so I can jump from show to show. Because the opportunity to do stuff completely in your own style all the time doesn't often present itself. So definitely study your shape language. Look at different types of cartoons, very graphic, like Powerpuff Girls versus more like Disney style animation, which is very like anatomically correct, and have a good style language and be able to interpret those different kinds of styles that you see in the animation that you want to work on, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one aspect of it, coming with a certain amount of skill and talent, but also a lot of its personality too. Being easy to work with, being able to take direction is very important. So if someone says, hey, could you change this? You don't get all like mad and stuff like that, because animation is very different than working on your own work. It's a collaborative effort, and many people work on a similar thing, and you have to be able to take suggestions and work well with others and get along well with others. So that's a big part also.
Yeah, it kind of ties back to that, like, you have to check your ego, because this is not your product. Unless it is, which, congratulations. But Pony is not my product. So if something that I design doesn't make it through, I don't take it personally. If I'm asked to change it, okay, I'll change it. It's not a big deal. I like it, but if you don't, that's cool. So a lot of like interns or first timers who start off in design don't make it past their first contract because they are not easy to work with, because they're like constantly trying to push their great ideas onto you, and you're like, it's okay, but this is not what we need, and then they get very like, oh. So you won't make it past your first contract if you have that personality of what I do is right all the time. My ideas are so good that it's going to revolutionize Pony, like anime Pony. Like, okay, cool, but that's not what we do.
It's not on model.
Yes. Yeah, I think that being nice is as important as having a good skill drawing. And I think that everywhere, like if you communicate well, if you are able to show how open you are for like doing, how you love what you're gonna do there, that's as important as having like a nice portfolio. Because sometimes like if you have that bad attitude, that's like, even though you have a beautiful drawing, that's not gonna put you in, like get you in there.
Yeah.
I think attitude is as important as drawing skills.
Yeah, and kind of like a little interesting side note, season 5 was the first time it was almost all women on the design crew.
Girl power. I just met, right?
Well, Matt and then Phil for the first
for
half.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think for season 6, it's just Matt.
Matt is the only guy on season 6 design crew. Yep.
I know the storyboarder supervisor, Katrina's been pretty happy about that. So when you are designing non-pony characters like the Yaks and Griffins of season 5, that kind of thing, what kind of constraints are there in what you're able to kind of accomplish with them?
Well, even though they're not ponies, they have to kind of fit into the design language of ponies. So they kind of have to be simple and graphic, and you have to think about what would a rabbit look like in this pony world, or what would a goat look like in this pony world. So you kind of like always reference the ponies, and then you reference the other animals that have already been designed. So it's always good to have them up on your screen when you're designing them, so the design language communicates well with everything that already exists.
Yeah, we have like many seasons to reference too. So.
Does Lauren's original show Bible from 2008 still influence any of your designs?
No.
No.
I mean, like, she set the style for season 1, and that we definitely reference season 1, but the original sketches are actually, they're not on model anymore.
No.
So we don't really refer back to the, like, dev art, the development art.
I mean, she did set the style for the show.
So technically, yes, because everything we do is designed within that season 1 world. But we push a little bit if we can, but it always has to tie back to the full 5-season set or 6-season set.
So is there any interesting database or any kind of like content management system you guys use to keep track of like designs to kind of reference from if you need to like see future episodes, that kind of thing?
Well, Steph has been working on some awesome design packs with eyes and body builds, and it's just like what the work she does to do that is amazing, because now we can go in and we have like all the Manhattan ponies, all the Appaloosa ponies, all the like different types of bodies in rotation, the eye blinks, and we can always pull from that design pack. And so like that's all her. She did an awesome job compiling that.
Go, Steph!
Yes.
Yay!
And Kristen.
Okay.
I don't know why this didn't come up earlier. Can you talk about some of the other shows that y'all have worked on in the past?
I worked on Littlest Pet Shop for a while. I think that's like, what else? Equestria Girls and Sarah Solves It, which was like a short PBS thing. Really? Oh. Okay. Oh, you guys. I was like, who's heard of this? Yeah, before that I was working like a lot in like toy design. Even now I work mostly toy design outside of TV, so my animation career is specifically just DHX stuff.
Yeah, I've worked on a lot of really crappy shows, especially like in the late '90s. Yeah, I worked on Mission Hill. Did layout design for that, and I did a lot of stuff. I would definitely say Ponies is the only one I've worked on that probably has the most street cred. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I just worked on LPS as a colorist, and then I did layout for Pound Puppies and My Little Pony.
How are we doing on time, by the way? 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, I can carry this. Okay.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job. That guy's leaving the room, he can't bear to watch. Yeah, 'cause I'm drowning here.
Microphone, this is interesting. Okay, so making My Little Pony, why do you think it got as popular as it did?
I think like for the adult audience, or just, I think there's a lot of storylines that deal with situations that like not all of us have dealt with properly before, and it kind of shows you how to like socially interact in a simple way that sometimes is not really intuitive, and it's very forgiving and it's very kind, and sometimes we don't get enough kindness in our lives, and it shows us a way to interact with other people kindly, and I think that's becoming more popular now because it's kind of an aggressive world, and not all of us love that. And Pony shows us that that doesn't always have to be the way we are to each other. And I think a lot of us are starting to like that kind of approach to dealing with people.
I think the story really speaks to what we live. Like there's a lot of things, like sometimes I'm reading the scripts and I'm like having this trouble in my life, and I'm reading the scripts and I'm like, that's exactly what I'm living. Let me go, let me keep going out. So I'll find out how do I solve this.
Yeah.
So it's just like the story really speaks to what we live, and it's just the characters doing what we can do too. So I think that's really nice.
I think it has to do also with the characters themselves. And working on a show with 6 main female characters is so rare. And showing these female characters as adventurers and smart. And I think also in many ways it's easier to humanize animals than it is to humanize humans. And I think Pony's, I think that's, a lot of people can relate to that. I know I really love animals, and I'm really happy to work on a show that doesn't have any human characters except for Equestria Girls. But it's a lot more fun to do.
So for Equestria Girls, like, how come their skin colors are like the same colors as the pony versions of them?
So
How come they're like purple even?
I remember doing the earlier designs, and we had human skin tones. And that kind of brings up like a loaded question of what race are the ponies, and we don't want to project that on. Well, it's not really controversy, but it's like that's like a loaded from our human world, which we don't really deal with in ponies, right? So they have their human shape, but are they really humans? Maybe, maybe not. It also it helps you understand who the characters are. It brings the design language into the new property, right? So that it's not super disconnected. And also, to be real, you guys have your own ideas of what the skin tones are for each humanoid pony, and we don't want to cause any problems, so let's just make Twilight purple because she's purple. That was just the best solution, and visually it looked interesting. So,
Are they human?
Are they dancers? All right, I think we have time for one more question. And I think that question is, have you folks been able to pay attention to anything the fandom has made? And is there anything you can comment on about that?
I try not to look too much at fan stuff, because if it nestles in my brain and makes its way to the screen or to the TV show, then that's a problem. I try not to, because there's too much influence. But sometimes fan art pops up, and I love when people design the ponies or color them in their own style. Really elaborately rendered ponies are pretty cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I like a lot of the craft stuff.
Oh yeah, the plushes are amazing.
Yeah.
We keep discussing, right, at work, like, oh, we want that one.
Yeah,
Usually
exactly.
we'll I'll wait a week after the episode is aired, and sometimes I'll go to Equestria Daily and be like, did they make a plush out of it?
Sometimes it's a day later. I think Tree Hugger had a plushie.
super fast.
Yeah.
We had an entire draw friend for Chrysalis, some 70 images after the season 2 finale came out, the day of.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. Every time I would get a new follower on Twitter, my iPad would ding. And I was just sitting there, and my iPad was going ding, 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 and I thought it was broken. And yeah, so then I was like, oh, what? 500 new followers? I have to watch what I say now.
All right, well, I think that's it. It's time for this panel to kind of wrap up. Everyone give the designers a big hand. We've had Kora, we've had Rebecca, we've had Fernanda. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.